Okay, I was gonna make this video a winter book haul, and yes, we still are gonna talk about some books, but that feeling of a haul just didn't feel right because this season there's gonna be so much present haul, decoration haul, book haul, life haul. I don't know, there's just a lot of pressure on this season. And I don't want my channel to be pressure. I really want to bring nourishment for myself and for you and your family. And so I have found some books that have been really helpful. We're going to make a nourishing treat today that I hope that you make for your family. The books that I've chosen give guidance and inspiration, but they also help you to slowly enter this season with intentionality, with rest, and just with thankfulness, this heart of, wow, look at the life that I have in front of me, not just trying to get a different life, get more things, do more, be more. So the first book that I read brings in this concept called Hygge.
Hygge.
One more time.
Hygge.
Hygge. Okay, I have to listen to it because I keep saying the wrong thing. The book that I started with was The Little Book of Hygge. I actually listened to this book. It was 3.5 hours, I would say, and I just listened to it while I was going about my day. It was such a great book. It's on Libby Books. If you're interested, you can listen for free. So I really want to give you that resource. The author is a happiness scientist. So he does research about what truly makes people happy. And the Danish people are among one of the happiest people in the world based on a world ranking, which that's a pretty cool thing to be. And so he goes through what they call hygge and what that means for them. The definition of the word is not one thing. It's really a feeling, this feeling of comfort and well-being and coziness. It's hard to describe, but you can feel it. And as you listen to this book, you're like, oh yeah, that's hygge. Oh yeah, that's Hyggly. And that's how I felt throughout the book. Like, yes, I love that. Like the smell of rain and the feel of your favorite mug and your favorite drink, reading a book by the fireplace, spending time with the people that you love, and not a fast-paced rush with the ones you love, but really sitting together and enjoying each other. It's actually in the book that he talks about the statistics about the happiest people. They are people who have these really rich, deep relationships in their life. It doesn't have to be hundreds, but just a couple of really special friendships boost that happiness level super high. Oftentimes, we think it's getting the best gifts or the best presents or having the most beautiful decor, but actually the practice of hygge encourages things that aren't expensive and fast-paced. They encourage candles, board games, humble and slow living. And doesn't that just lift off the pressure that us humans put on ourselves to perform and to achieve? I literally just got notification from Target. I mean, we're bombarded daily with the things that we need to do and be and buy, especially around this Christmas season. And so if you want to really focus in on little things that actually matter, then I would definitely check out The Little Book of Hygge. The follow-up to this book is Holy Hygge by Jamie Erickson, and she is married to a Danish man, so she was able to really incorporate over the past 20 plus years this cultural hygge, and she talks about how aesthetic can only go so far. Yes, the right lighting, cozy atmosphere, and having the people we love around us can really bring that feeling of warmth. But a lot of those things are temporary. Our coffee's gonna get cold, the light's gonna go out, and family's gonna leave. And where is the rootedness in yourself? Where have you built in yourself a depth, a resting place for the Lord? And so she really merges these two ideas beautifully. And one of the verses that she talks about is 1 Peter 2, 4 through 6, and it reads, "As you come to him, a living stone, rejected by men, but in the sight of God, chosen and precious, you yourselves, like living stones, are being built up as a spiritual house, to be a holy priesthood, to offer spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God through Jesus Christ. For it stands in Scripture, 'Behold, I am laying in Zion a stone, a cornerstone chosen and precious, and whoever believes in him will not be put to shame. There's a lot in that verse, and so what she was really highlighting was the importance of our lives being built on the foundation of Christ, and the fact that yes, we live in a home, but we are also home to the living God. We are his sanctuary, his temple, and he says, come and prepare a place for me to rest. And so that is the heart of her book. One of the things that really challenged me in this book was initiating relationship and connection. And I have amazing friends, but oftentimes I don't reach out and I don't connect. And in the first episode of the podcast of Holy Hygge, which is free on Spotify, they were talking about how there's this pressure to have your house perfectly clean and in order, and to have the best baked goods and dinner and be able to host and all of this extravagance, and how often that need for perfection actually closes the door for others to come in, because we're not always going to be in that state. Or on the other hand, it sets an expectation for yourself and for people coming into your home that this is what I expect you to be. This is how I expect our relationship to look, pristine and perfect. And that's just not reality. Life gets messy. Right now, I'm actually sitting in a home that is not clean. I know this spot looks really great, but not everything is always together. And we need to allow ourselves to invite people into what our real life looks like, so we're not putting on that show. So I've been getting a lot of nuggets out of this book and this whole concept, so I just recommend you look into that this season. In connection with stress-free holidays, I'm just going to put in there to watch anything about minimalism. I started my minimalist journey when I moved out of the house. I had so much stuff and I was completely overwhelmed by it, and so I watched The Minimalists, and that is a very popular movie. But there's also a lot of books. I saw two that I was interested in reading but have not read yet, and they are free on Hoopla. The first is Have Yourself a Minimalist Christmas, and the second is Welcome Home, which is a cozy minimalist perspective on how to celebrate seasons throughout the year. So if you are struggling with too much clutter and you're feeling overwhelmed this year, I would definitely look into some minimalism resources. There's also a lot of great YouTube channels. Put some of my favorites right here, and these are just women that have inspired me in my minimalism journey. So I hope you check those out. The next book is Sacred Seasons by Danielle Hitchen. It's a year-long meditation on the life of Christ. Each season of the church year offers special opportunities to remember and celebrate the work of God. This book is all about getting into the rhythm of the Christian calendar, celebrating different traditions. There's even some recipes that are in here. I really want to be more intentional, especially now that I have a daughter. I really want to bring her into some really beautiful rhythms of rest and of celebration and expectancy that's not all around, what am I going to get? And so I think that it does a disservice to our kids to only teach them how to receive and not how to give or to be patient or to focus in on something greater than themselves, like the story of Christ. And even reading a little bit more into Advent, I've actually never recognized Advent, and I really liked the idea of focusing in on this stillness and this quietness leading up to the birth of Christ, and how I can incorporate that in my life. And in all the books so far that I've mentioned, from this one to Minimalism to Hygge, what I'm finding a common thread is just to be present, to disconnect from all of the noise, the electronics, the rush, but you're actually taking that time to be quiet and be still and to meditate on the truth of the gospel. There's a quote in here by Angelus Silesius. God far exceeds all our words that we can hear express. In silence he is heard, in silence worshipped best. Last but not least, I'm going to encourage you to pick up your Bible this season. Reading the Gospels is great. His birth, life, death, resurrection, the promises to come. Read those things, but really anywhere you read is not going to be disappointing. You can read the Psalms, which really set your heart into this posture of worship. So anywhere that you read in here is going to be life-giving. Okay, we're going to take a little break to make a really yummy treat for your family, and then we're going to go straight into our cozy fiction stories. Okay, welcome to my baking show. I'm so excited to do this. The 5 ingredients you'll need are on the screen, minus the candy canes. You're gonna wanna get some of those. So you're gonna put 12 sheets of graham crackers, chocolate, into a food processor. I think a blender would work, but it would just take a lot more. And it's gonna come out nice and powdery, just like this. Next, warm up 6 ounces of cream cheese and then add your peppermint oil. It'll smell so good. And I'm just gonna tell you, you're gonna need a lot of cream cheese. I don't think I measured mine correctly because when I blended it in with the graham cracker, it was more of a cake crumbly consistency, and you want more of that icing consistency when you start making your truffles. So I really had to pack mine down. Learn from my mistakes, make yours more creamy, they'll stick together much better, and it'll be easy when you have to put the chocolate on top. This recipe is in the description below. It should make 21, but because mine were crumbly, it made 17. But hey, that's a lot for a family of 3, so I'm gonna share it with some friends. I pulled what I'm now calling my cake pops out of the fridge and started to coat them with the chocolate and coconut oil that I melted together. And you can see the first ones are pretty good, but as we go, they just get thicker and more crumbly. So yeah, let's put some sprinkles on. I didn't have the candy cane topping, but that would have made it really, really cool. And we can't forget the little ugly ones. I still love them. They're still delicious. So I hope you enjoy this. Let me know if you make these. Now that you have a special treat, we're gonna go into our next set of books. These are cozy, they're gonna warm your heart, they're very Hyggly. So let us get right into it. So my first category of book that I recommend is chunky books. Like, this is what my husband is reading. He's reading Dune. And these books, especially the first one, this is like thick. Okay, this may not be for everyone. I don't know that I would read this, but winter is the perfect time to read your chunky books. Here's another chunker. This is C.S. Lewis and the Space Trilogy. This is 3 books in one, but still, this is no joke. And the chunkiest of all is one of my favorite stories, and that is The Count of Monte Cristo. The movies is one of my favorites. Jim Caviezel plays the main character who is wrongfully imprisoned. Pretty much everything is stripped from him, and it's this story of pain and love, revenge, and hope, restoration. There's just so much goodness in this story. This book is no joke, and it's also a classic, which leads us to our second category of classics. I'm not going to tell you which classic to read. They are all wonderful, but they appeal to different audiences. I'll give you a couple of ideas. There's children's classics and just classics, and I think you should read either or both because the children's is so heartwarming and touching. And if any of them catch your eye, you can research and see what is going to be for you, what's going to be your coziest read this winter. So we have Little Women, A Little Princess. I would recommend anything by Jane Austen, The Wind in the Willows, Jane Eyre, Wuthering Heights. And for specifically Christmas classics, we have The Gift of the Magi, The Night Before Christmas, The Polar Express, Mr. Dickens and His Carol, The Greatest Gift, Mr. Willoughby's Christmas Tree, A Boy Called Christmas, J.R.R. Tolkien, Letters from Father Christmas, and Punchinello and the Most Marvelous Gift, another by Max Lucado. So those classics would be great novels to get started with, but if you're looking for something a little bit shorter, the Penguin Book of Christmas Stories would be perfect for you. You'll be introduced to a lot of different authors, from Hans Christian Andersen to Angela Carter, and a lot of others that honestly, most of these I haven't heard of. Inside, you'll find stories taken from their bigger pieces of writing or short stories that are based around Christmas, and you really can get a feel for which author maybe you would want to read more into. or just enjoy the stories as you read them. Alternatively, there's a book of vintage Christmas stories with authors I'm a little bit more familiar with, and I really want to get that edition and just enjoy those Christmas stories by my favorite authors. So I would definitely look into some short stories if you don't have a lot of time. Of course, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit are the perfect winter reads, perfect winter movies. So this could have been on the classics list. It's super popular, but I wanted to give it a space of its own. And that's the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I mean, come on, Santa is literally in Narnia. So this is the perfect book, movie. Maybe read the series. This could be a great series to read this winter. On that note, if there's a series you've been wanting to read, winter is the perfect time. I personally have been reading Aragon. I started the beginning of fall and I've read through the whole Inheritance Cycle series. So good. I really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure if I was going to really enjoy it. Maybe I'll make a whole video just on this series. But Murtagh, the fifth book of the series after 10 years, just came out in November and I haven't gotten it yet. That is one that is on my list to read, so hopefully I can start it this year or at the beginning of next year. It follows a character that I really want his story to unfold, so I'm so glad with the direction the author went. But if you are interested, this is a great series, or pick a series that you have been wanting to read. Another Christmas story is The Christmas Candle. And this is about a generation of candle makers who get blessed every 25 years, I believe, by an angel. And this angel will touch one of the candles, and whoever they give the candle to, it's just such a blessing. It turns their life around. It's a miracle. And something different happens this year that complicates it and creates this tension and hope and this miracle within this community that is really, really a beautiful and touching story. So I just recommend reading it. I don't want to give too much away. There's a movie that goes with it. So if you like reading a book and then watching the movie, this is a good pick. So I came across the next book on Goodreads. It's by Elizabeth Gouge, and she has a lot of books. I saw a lot of them were very highly rated. And the one that caught my eye was The Dean's Watch. This story is set in a remote town. The dean of the town is Adam, and he is very misunderstood, very shy. And when his watch breaks, he goes and visits the watchmaker, who he doesn't think knows anything about God, and they form this connection and relationship. And what comes of it is very miraculous and beautiful and filled with hope, and it affects the whole town. An author that I like is Francine Rivers, and she wrote a Christmas story book called The Shoebox. It's about a young boy in foster care who gets a home, and he has this shoebox and he doesn't let anybody look inside of it. And really, him sharing what's in the shoebox becomes basically him opening up his heart to his new life and the people in his life. So that is a really sweet Christmas story. For those of you that maybe like a little bit more suspense or thrill, this is a winter-themed collection of murder mysteries. It has, let me see, it includes the stories The Chocolate Box, A Christmas Tragedy, The Coming of Mr. Quinn, The Mystery of the Baghdad Chest, The Clergyman's Daughter, The Plymouth Express, Problem at Pollensa Bay, Sanctuary, The Mystery of Hunter's Lodge, The World's End, The Manhood of Edward Robinson, Christmas Adventure. That was a lot, but that'll keep you busy all winter. All right, thank you for watching this video, friends. I hope that you are inspired to ease your way into this season, to snuggle up with a good book, to find all of the Hyggly things that you can, and have a delicious treat. I will see you next week for another video, and in the meantime, you can watch one of my previous videos. Merry Christmas.